how I've been filling raised beds lately. So when I first started with a raised bed, like my first raised bed was made with concrete blocks, and I filled it up with logs. So I used big chunks of logs that were like cut, so they weren't too thick, but they were wide logs. And I used that to line like the bottom, and then I added like soil and other things, and I planted in there, and the plants did good. But I ended up getting some really bad ant nest in there. So the ant nest was actually like farming scales on my soursop tree. So wood's like a great thing to use to fill up a raised bed. And how I've been avoiding the ant issue by basically getting smaller chunks of wood into the bed instead of the big chunks. So the smaller chunks will decompose faster, but they also not big enough for an ant to make like any sizable nest. And that's what I've done in the raised beds that I have. So I have one raised bed from the concrete blocks again that's a bit bigger. I heard something behind me. That's a bit bigger, and I have some small raised beds too that I did the same thing. It's a really windy day today, which is nice because it's not too hot. So I'm going to show you the raised bed. I'm going to show you the raised bed that I made. So here it is. It's 3.5 feet by 10 feet, and we put it here today. Like yesterday, we sat down here and we leveled it. And I used these wooden planks that I was using for walkways, but I figured this was a better use of them to make a raised bed. If I was gonna buy a raised bed, I'd probably go with like a galvanized steel raised bed. Epic Gardening, the YouTube channel Epic Gardening, he basically partnered with like an Australian company that makes raised beds from galvanized steel, and those are like rust proof and they last for decades. And yeah, so if I was gonna buy a raised bed, I would probably buy one of those, but since I already had this wood, I used it. And so you can see this is moringa. We basically just chopped it up with the machete. It's a really soft wood, so it's really easy to chop up. And I just been laying like a bunch of sticks like this, just sticks and small chunks of wood. And I put this in the middle here. It's one raised bed, but it has a piece in the middle to keep it from like expanding out. So I'm gonna be adding bananas over here. I got this banana that fell over with like a recent tropical storm. Just this one fell over, so I'm gonna be cutting that back. I might be cutting some of these down because there's a lot in here. And this is from a banana rack. See, this is the stem, and there was bananas here, but we ate them all. So I'm gonna be cutting back this thing right here and adding that. And the Mexican sunflower too, probably throw that in there. So yeah, just gonna be adding whatever I can. See, this is some planks of wood that had decomposed down, so I'm gonna be adding this stuff in there too, because you could just break it up. See, the wood, it's just falling apart. I'm also gonna add compost, so like our food scraps that we put in the compost. I'm gonna add a couple buckets of that we have that I normally put in the compost, but I'm just gonna throw them in here. And also gonna be adding soil from the ground. So like if my dad has dug up a hole or something, sometimes he'll have extra like native soil that we have in here. So I'm gonna add some of that. Just a little bit, not a lot, because it's like very heavy soil. And then here is a place where we had mulch down, and we've put a lot of mulch here, and it's basically become like a bit of a hill. But you can see there's pretty nice soil in here. So I'm gonna be digging some of this up and sifting it and adding it to the raised bed. And that's gonna be like the primary soil we're using to fill it up. And I'm also gonna add compost that I made from like composting food scraps and stuff. So I'm gonna add that too, but that's just gonna be like the top layer. And yeah, I'm just gonna get to it and show you guys how I built it up. But this is all for free. Like, I'm not you could also add weeds, but some of these weeds grow from like division, or like they'll grow back from a little, like the root inside, and or the stem, they'll grow by cutting. So I really don't like, I wouldn't want to add that in there because it could grow. But if it's like a weed that doesn't grow that easily from like cuttings or division, then you could put it in the bottom, and then once you layer all the soil on top, like, it'll be fine. But don't put it in the top, because then like the seeds and stuff will grow easily. So I'm gonna put it up on the tripod and show you all the layering that's gonna go on in here. Here we have food scraps, and I'm gonna dump those in here. We like collect all the food scraps in a 5-gallon bucket. We have 3 that we use, and God, it's so gross. I really don't like doing this. It smells bad, but it's easier to just collect and then take it all out at once instead of taking it out every like single day, because we fill up. We use about, like, we always have a lot of food scraps. We have a lot of fruits here. You can see there's like star fruit that's gone bad. There's like avocado peels. We have guavas that sometimes like they'll have maggots and they're all bad. Potatoes sometimes that they're bad, like sweet potatoes that we grow. So yeah, I'm gonna get the bananas over there now. Gonna wash these up, get the bananas, and throw the bananas in there, clean up the leaves, and then I'll be putting on the soil. He loves riding around the wheelbarrow. I like give him little rides around the yard whenever I'm using him. He's so cute. Right, we're done. And to get him out is not easy. He will like, I'll like tip over the wheelbarrow, like lift it up so he kind of slides out gently. But he'll just be clawing at it because he doesn't want to get out. And it's funny. Bananas grow so much. I got a ton of leaves, dry leaves. I pruned back the green leaves that were getting yellow, and I have that's covered in leaves. But I have the banana stalk that fell down. I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be more than enough. I was gonna get more of the bananas, but I think when I put that in there, it's gonna fill it up really good. This is gonna settle over time and the soil level is gonna fall on the bed, but I'll have to top it off later on, but that's okay, not the problem. Here's the banana stalk I was talking about. I could chop this up into chunks. I'm not going to. Just gonna throw it in there. It's so watery. Bananas have a ton of water in them. I might pull off one or two more banana stalks and throw them in here, and more leaves. So I feel like once I squish everything down, it's gonna be maybe like halfway full, and then I'll fill up the other half with the soil. This is like 12 inches thick, this raised bed. Look at all the water in the bananas. This was dry. Yeah, it's so, like if you cut them, it just like gets splashed with water sometimes. Like if you chop them with a machete, water just splashes everywhere. So this is our native soil. It's pretty nice. So here is this compost sifter I made. It's just like 4 pieces of wood and then like some bracing here. And I don't remember what size this is. I think like a ½ inch, like the metal wire. I think it's like a ½ inch, but I'm not sure. So we have all that soil back there. It's like mixed with wood chips, so I'm just gonna sift it out in here and get a couple wheelbarrows of that and take it over there into the raised bed. So here's what we end up with. And this is just from wood chips decomposed, and then some of the native soil is in there too. So I got a wheelbarrow of soil. Gonna put that in here, shovel it in. It's pretty nice soil. There's like smaller wood chips in it, but not a big deal. So you can see here that I filled it up. I put, I think it was a wheelbarrow in each side, like a pretty full wheelbarrow of the soil that I sifted out. And then I watered it yesterday. I couldn't finish because it was already almost night, but I watered it yesterday and then I let it settle so you could see the soil is like pretty flat. So I'm gonna get probably like another 2 or 3 wheelbarrows and fill it up and water it again and let it settle. And then when it's all settled, and I don't think it's gonna settle too much more, I'm gonna add like 2 inches or so of compost on top. So here's the soil right after we put it in. It's like fluffy. It's pretty fluffy. So I'm gonna water it in. And I watered in pretty heavily. Like not like a strong amount of water in one exact spot. Like I spray it pretty heavily, but like evenly to get it to settle. And here it is. It's filled up. And I watered it in. And the good thing about watering it in is that if like some of the wood chips that are like in the soil, they'll float up. So if you water it like heavily, the wood chips will float up that are in the soil. But I'm probably gonna let this settle for like at least a week or so and keep watering it to get the soil to settle and like compact a bit, because if I would just to plant right into here, then like over the next couple months the soil is gonna decrease a lot. So I'm just gonna let it settle more, water it and let it settle more, and then when it sinks down like probably an inch or two, I'm gonna add some compost on top and then plant in. And here I have these other raised beds, these little ones. but they're full of weeds and stuff. But I planted some lettuces in here, and yeah, they're just always decreasing. Like the level always decreases over time, so you gotta top them off. But I hope this gave you guys some idea of like how you can be creative and use what you have to fill up a bed. I mainly, like, we have pretty nice soil here. My main concern was, see, like, we have the roof, like the water runs down and falls here, and this just gets flooded when it rains really heavily, and this area right here gets a lot of sun, and I wanted to plant in here, but it just rains so much and it floods so much here that I really didn't want to put anything in the ground here at like ground level. But I think this raised bed will help with that, because the things will be elevated and they won't be flooded and they won't be getting such heavy rainfall, especially when you have young plants. Like if they get rained on really hard and they get like flooding from like the water that comes off the roof, it can be a lot. So that's what I'm going to be using this for. Thanks for watching, guys.